Okay, so number two is after knowing who you are, establishing who the character is. So write that down. Establish your character. What I mean by establishing the character is to a point whether you're reading for something, like you're going to go audition for something, or you actually got the part, whatever the case is, you have to know who you're playing. And so you're not always going to, this is not the place where you're going to necessarily go in and do your heaviest research, but this is where you want to just kind of get the essence of who the person is. You want to ask simple questions like, how old are they? You know, where are they from? You know, what's going on in this scene or what's going on in the script with their lives, and how would it affect this sort of character? So for instance, you know, if you know that the person you're playing is 16, you know that they're from England, and you know that they've just lost their parents, you have a lot of room to make choices to establish who this character is without having to do a whole hell of a lot of research. You know what I mean? You know, first of all, if you're going to play them, you need some sort of accent, so you need to get that together. You know how old they are, so if you're 12, play somebody 16, you have to go, okay, what grade is the 16-year-old in? They're about the 10th grade. So what goes on in the 10th grade? You know, you're not an underclassman, but you're not an upperclassman, you're in the middle. You can't go to prom yet, you know, just all of that sort of basic stuff. And then thinking about, you know, if this person lost their parents, how would that affect a 16-year-old? A 16-year-old is already going through a lot with being a kid, but kind of not being a kid, but not being old enough to do anything that they want to do, but they're old enough to imagine it. You know, so you're already going through, am I boring you? You're already going through, as a 16-year-old, you're already going through some stuff. So it would affect them a little bit deeper maybe than somebody that was 30. It'll affect them somebody a little bit deeper than, or it'll affect them differently than somebody that's 12 or 5. You know what I mean? So all of those sorts of things are going to jurisdict the way you play the character. So now we know you got an accent, we know that you're in high school, we know that you lost your parents, and we know that you're not going to act extremely mature about it, but you're not going to necessarily act extremely childish about it either. So what choices would you make? You know what I mean? That's what establishing your character is. Alright, so I want you to write number 3 underneath establish the character. And feel free to take notes too, you know. After you establish the character, you want to go ahead and study the character. This is when you go in and you really delve into the character's whole entire world. Underneath study the character, I want you to write the word backstory. The creation of the backstory is extremely important because it helps you justify and it helps you completely understand where the character is coming from literally. And when I say where they're coming from, you have to imagine everything that isn't written, or you have to imagine everything that a director or a writer doesn't tell you. That's a big part of acting, is imagining and creating. Because everything that you have to do for your job is not always going to be written. You know what I mean? Someone's not going to always give you a handout saying, oh, this is their parents, this is their economic structure, this is what they ate for breakfast, these are the sort of shoes they wear. But you need to know all of that stuff whether somebody tells you that or not, because that is what creates people, you know? So with your backstory, what you want to do is, at the first point that you meet a character in a script or in a monologue, you want to then imagine what happened right before that moment. So for instance, last week you read a piece where two friends got into an argument and your character was telling him, yo, you need to listen to me. I helped to run a successful business and you need help. Let me help you. So, okay, that's all you know about this character. You don't know anything else. So you have to create, well, what happened before this? Why is he saying this in the first place? You know? Once you've established why he's saying it, what were the circumstances that led up to him saying it? And then you just kind of go back from there. And you create a whole story of your own that helps you with the character that you established, right? Now that you have built a backstory, then that's when the studying kind of comes in. So if your backstory involves, like I said, the person may be from London, them growing up poor, I don't know, them having a dysfunctional relationship with their father, for instance, and now they don't live at home anymore. They have roommates, even though they're in high school, you know? Now you get a chance to do all the research on what that is. You can now reference, you know, you can go to a homeless shelter and talk to teenagers to see how they feel and see how they live. That will help you play your part better. You can now find people that have lost their parents, and now you can watch videos on YouTube of people that say they had a bad relationship with their father. You can watch stuff on YouTube or listen to audio of people with an accent so you can perfect your accent. All that kind of stuff is important because you want to come to the table on point. You want to come to the table, you want to come to your readings, to your rehearsals, going above and beyond. Excellence is really the mark of what you have to do and what you have to be when you're not necessarily connected in this industry. You know, you don't know a whole lot of people and all that sort of stuff. In order to get that attention, in order to be able to grow, you have to be really good at what you do. And I'm telling you this just from one ethnic young man to another. It's especially harder for us, especially I think for Asian men, because what? I mean, what do you always see the Asian guy doing? If it's not a karate flick, he's the delivery person, or just like the token character that doesn't have any lines, that don't need to be there, or he's in love with a white girl that doesn't want him. It's really one of the four, you know what I mean? So, it's important for you to also, just in general, to read for stuff and audition for everything. Because if they're not going to write it for you, you have to convince them that you can do it. You know what I mean? So don't allow a casting description to stop you from reading for a character if you want to. If you want to go for the lead, go for the lead. And you've gotten the lead before in things at school. So that goes to show that you got something. So there's that. Alright.